Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Danielle Spencer. This week, I wanted to talk about my experience when I had to file for and collect unemployment. I had a conversation with someone this week, and based on our conversation, I think I should probably share this information to a broader audience. Again, I'm not an attorney, so this is not legal advice. I'm just talking about my journey, my experience, and if it's able to help someone, that's great. But again, not legal advice. This is just my experience. So some years ago, I was in a position where I needed to collect unemployment. Um, and so the first thing, I'll talk about two different sections of doing it, but again, this is my experience. So as soon as like the day after I was no longer working, I filed for unemployment. I was able to do it online. But if you're not able to do it online, I think there's also a telephone option or you can do it in person. But I did mine online. And as you could tell from your books and everything else that I'd done, I screenshot, printed everything. So after you apply, it goes through this process and it should be approved or not approved. Well, in this one instance, mine wasn't approved. And so what I did, I appealed it. So there is an option that if you file for unemployment, you can appeal that decision if it's denied. And they'll give you all these options, or all these instructions on what you to do. At least that was my experience. And so when I appealed the decision, what happened is that you go to court. And my court date, it wasn't that long after. I want to say it was maybe a month. I mean, I think 4 weeks after I got the denial letter. But what happened in my experience is that both I and my previous employer had to go before a judge and discuss my case. Well, my previous employer didn't want to show up. So I was able to win my case. And not only was I able to collect unemployment from that point forward, I also got back pay for the weeks that I should have been able to collect unemployment and I was denied. So I got all of that. So while I was waiting and while you're collecting unemployment, you had to apply, or at least I had to apply for two jobs a week. I did a lot more than that. I kept copies of that. And my experience was that you had to show, like every week when you filed the claim, provide that proof that you applied for, that you were looking for positions. So that was one of the things that I did. The other thing is that I applied for and took, I don't want to say I took part of every program that was available for people who were not working. So Medicaid, um, food stamps, calling, uh, my car note, um, speaking to like any creditor I might have had and let them know because this is the situation. And my experience was they had programs for people who were not working or had lost their job, and I was able to be part of those programs while I was not getting the income that I was used to having. I did have some savings, so the situation wasn't that dire, but what I didn't want to completely deplete all my savings. But I want to be able to make sure because for most people, unemployment, while it gives you some money, it's not enough to really live off of. So what you want to make sure you're able to do, make sure you're able to eat, like be able to pay your utilities, even though my experience was the utilities did have programs where you were able to um, pay a certain amount until you were able to get back to where you were making close to what you were making before. But I took advantage or was able to use all of those programs that for years, when you pay your taxes, you pay into. It is my belief that those are very good social safety nets, not for people to take advantage of where you haven't worked, but if you have worked and you've paid into them, if something happens, you should be able to use those programs so that uh, you don't become destitute just because you're unable to work or you have a medical emergency that is taking all of your money. So I wanted to share, especially that part about the unemployment, because some people might be frightened about doing it or scared. Like, for example, if you're told your performance was a problem, um, and you know that that's not accurate, um, I filed and I was prepared to go to court to justify and prove my filing. And so while we were in court, if the employer wanted to say, oh, well, there were performance problems, well, you're going to have to say that under oath in front of a judge and show where there were performance problems because I can show that I had years of good performance. And this is just, I want to say illustrative, but um, if you're willing to, someone is willing to say false information under oath, commit perjury, that's on them. And then there can be, options after that. But definitely, like I said, my experience, I did have that experience where it was denied. And I appealed it and I won the appeal. So for anyone else out there, if my journey can help you, that would be great. But I definitely, when it was needed, applied and took advantage of, and I hate to say it's not take advantage because I paid into it and I was due it, but I made use of the options that were available to me. And I believe if that's your situation, you should consider and get legal advice, talk to someone to make sure that if you've paid into it and you need these services, that you get them. It's not worth going bankrupt or becoming destitute um, when you don't need to, especially when there are programs out there to help. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about in the video this week. Again, have a great week, and I will see you next time.